私ナンバーワンスタート始まる今日のステージチェックマイクメイク一緒一緒トライチャレンジスターダム光光るスポットライト眩しい輝きまっすぐデビュー夢は
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Third Impact Anime Podcast. I am your host, Bill, trying to get us to rank S in the podcast ratings. I am the only regular host on this episode today, but I have a very special guest coming on for the first time. Special guest, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, Bill. My name is Kory. You have been on my podcast to talk about Hajime no Ippo. That is the Taiiku Podcast. And I do another one called Manga in Your Ears. I don't know where we're supposed to plug things. We can do it now or later. I'm going to stop talking now.
No, we plug at the beginning and we plug at the end. So
Okay.
You are more than fun, my friend. But I had a lot of fun on your podcast talking about Hajime no Ippo. And I saw on your banner that while your show is mostly about sports, it's also about Love Live. And I thought, hey, if this person is really into Love Live, maybe they've heard about what we're going to talk about today, which is the 2011 anime, The IDOLMASTER. Because Love Live and IDOLMASTER, well, they're made by the same publisher, Bandai Namco, and they have different levels of notoriety. So I was curious, and you happily said yes. So thanks again for coming on the show.
Yeah, of course. I've always been interested in IDOLMASTER. I am a fan of just idol anime in general. I believe we've mentioned a couple of them in our year-end reviews, top anime reviews, because I don't think any of them have been as good as Love Live. Including IDOLMASTER, hot take, I apologize, but they do deserve an honorable mention. If I had watched IDOLMASTER and was podcasting in 2011, it certainly would have been on that list.
This podcast might turn into also a Love Live podcast, and where I might talk about my experience with Love Live, but we'll see. The podcast journey is always strange, so we'll see. But so what is? Let's talk about our experiences with IDOLMASTER. So I know you're more of a Love Live fan, but did you hear about IDOLMASTER on kind of the periphery?
Yeah, I think IDOLMASTER was one of those ones where it wasn't licensed by Crunchyroll until several years after its release, if I'm remembering correctly. But as with anything that is not currently streaming, like even the Netflix things, I just really struggle with even starting those, just because I can watch 25 episodes of anime, of 25 different anime in one day, but I cannot watch 25 episodes of the same anime in one day anymore. Those younger years are behind me when I did that. So I just never got around to it. And then I found out when you had messaged me about it that it's off Crunchyroll. So I had to procure it through other means, with apologies to IDOLMASTER. But, I mean, you gotta have your stuff streaming, I think.
Well, I don't feel too bad with how much Bandai makes U.S. fans have to pay for to get their games through third-party sellers. I'm not too sad that you had to do it that way. But for anyone that doesn't know what IDOLMASTER is, I'll give kind of a little brief summary of what it is. So IDOLMASTER is a popular idol simulation and rhythm game franchise published by Bandai Namco. By the way, I will kind of go into my rhythm of just calling them Scamco, but that's just because of my friend jammed that into my head, so I apologize ahead of time. So the IDOLMASTER series is a very long series that started in 2005 in the arcades. It is about you are a producer and you are leading a production unit called 765 Pro, and you're trying to get your idols of choice up the popularity and ranking charts. And this is done through gameplay of rhythm gameplay, kind of you'd see in, I'm trying to think of a good comparison, like DDR or Guitar Hero in a way, trying to match the beat up with what's being shown on the screen. And also through doing lessons and doing one-on-one communications with said idols. So usually the IDOLMASTER games are strictly rhythm games, or they're kind of this idol simulation, idol raising type game where you are the producer and you're trying to get them up the ladder and up the popularity chart. From the arcades in 2005, IDOLMASTER has expanded onto more systems, including the Xbox 360, when Microsoft was desperately trying to get Japanese consumers to buy their console, on the Nintendo DS, on the PS3, on the PSP, on the PS4, and many, many, many mobile games. So IDOLMASTER was initially just the 12 idols that makes up the 765 Pro unit, which also is called Namco Pro. But since then, it has expanded into battalion-like levels of idol groups, including Million Live, Cinderella Girls, Side M, which is the all-male IDOLMASTER group, and Shiny Colors. So my history with IDOLMASTER, like many things, goes back to my days in college. And my roommate was big into IDOLMASTER, where he had hard modded an Xbox 360 so that way it could play the IDOLMASTER 2 game on his system. And he has exported, he's basically gotten every single console IDOLMASTER game through your usual third-party sellers like PlayAsia and whatnot. And he got me into the series, initially through the games and then through the 2011 anime, which we're going to be talking about today. So yeah, he's a hardcore fan, and through him, I became a fan of the IDOLMASTER and began to get green with envy over Love Live's success in the United States in comparison. Let me move on to IDOLMASTER's history in the U.S. Kory, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to use a sports analogy for IDOLMASTER's history in the U.S.
I never mind a sports analogy, yeah.
Okay. So, if Love Live is the LA Lakers in terms of like success and popularity and fans in the U.S., IDOLMASTER is the Clippers. Because
it's harsh.
like the Clippers, IDOLMASTER, when it comes to the US, has had the worst of luck thanks to timing by Bandai and just poor business decisions. So, the first experience we had with IDOLMASTER in the United States was in 2007. Sentai Filmworks licensed IDOLMASTER's Iguacia, which you would think it's an idol show, right? Wrong. It is a mecha show that loosely interprets IDOLMASTER, the IDOLMASTER property. It is very weird, and it's made by Sunrise. I imagine you've never seen IDOLMASTER's Iguacia.
This is the only IDOLMASTER thing that I have seen, but when I tweeted about IDOLMASTER, I was told that I should watch that.
It is very strange. It has a little bit of kind of Ava DNA in terms of its structure. Like Monster of the Week, we have like a Nerve-like organization dealing with them. So it's pretty interesting. But if you're strictly into idol anime, you're probably not going to like Xenoglossia.
No, I mean, I like AKB 048. That's a mecha and idol anime. So
That is true. So it is not a completely foreign to mix mecha with idols. I mean, there's that also in Macross as well. But unfortunately, the Xenoglossia anime is no longer in print, and you can no longer get it legally here in the United States. And then in 2013, we had our first official IDOLMASTER rhythm game actually being brought over to the United States on iOS called IDOLMASTER Shiny Festa. There were 3 different apps. I would like you to guess, Kory, how much do you think Bandai charged for each of these apps individually? There were 3 of them total.
they weren't free. It wasn't like free to play, and then you
No.
pay things. Oh Jesus Christ!
Nope. No.
Well, since you're asking, I'm gonna guess $7.99 and assume it's higher.
Oh, much higher. You're not going to believe me when I tell you the number.
$20.
You want to try one more? Nope.
Is it higher?
It is higher.
Dear Lord.
They were charging, get ready for this, $55 per app.
Oh, man.
In 2013. So the great thing about the Shiny Festa apps were particular idols were only in one app. You did get an OVA anime episode in the app on top of a rhythm game, but if you wanted to get everything, the grand total was $170.
It's a lot of American dollars, Bill.
That's a lot of American dollars. And just completely impractical to the app market, because most people expect you to either have to deal with microtransactions, or it's free, or you pay a minimum of maybe like $5.
Yeah.
At the max, not $55.
Yeah, that's the School Idol Festival game. And I have played that extensively, but I did not know that it wasn't even an option to pay $55 for an app on your phone.
Yeah, I didn't know that was possible either. I thought like $10 was maybe the max, but what do I know? But needless to say, this was not successful. Are you shocked? I can't believe it.
Super shocked. Yeah.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. Then the IDOLMASTER 2011 anime and the spin-off series IDOLMASTER Cinderella Girls was finally made available streaming. Not on Crunchyroll though. Where, you might ask? On Daisuki.net. Now, do you remember Daisuki.net? Yeah, do you remember Daisuki.net?
Yeah, I was going to guess Nico Nico. Remember that when that was a thing in the US?
Oh, I don't. I didn't even know they tried Nico Nico in the US. That's funny. I kind of find things like Daisuki.net or Nico Nico kind of funny, because it's mostly these consortium of anime production companies with usually like another bigger company that's not well known in the States. And it's always like a half measure of just like, yeah, we'll put stuff on there, but we're going to put the stuff on other platforms as well, because we don't want to lose money and we think this is going to fail. Because I think that like for a while, like Daisuki.net had like things like One Piece, and they had things like Dragon Ball Super and some Gundam stuff, but a lot of the other stuff was available either in physical media form, or it was also streaming on Crunchyroll at the time. So there wasn't really any exclusives to get people to go to Daisuki.net, excluding these idol shows that didn't really have a connection with the US fan base because none of the games were brought over here. So needless to say, Daisuki.net did not land well and was shut down in 2017. Then in 2021, Crunchyroll removed the 2011 IDOLMASTER anime. The Cinderella Girls anime and the Side M anime are still available on Crunchyroll as of this recording. So you have the spin-off series. And then in more recent times, the only thing that we've had in terms of physical media is probably in like one of those acquisition deals of, okay, we'll give you this, but you have to also take this. In 2015, when Funimation was still its own thing, they released on DVD an IDOLMASTER chibi web anime called Puchimas, which is really cute and fun, but it's like these 5-minute shorts, and nobody knew about them.
I remember hearing about them at least.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, it's cute. I think you can still find it on whatever they call Funimation's YouTube channel since everything got rebranded to Crunchyroll. But yeah, just IDOLMASTER's luck and history in the US has been really bad compared to Love Live, because at least with Love Live, majority of the animes have gotten dubs. Some of the games have been brought over here. Am I correct?
Yeah. I don't know about the console games. I don't play those, but a couple of the mobile games have. I think School Idol Fest and like Rising Stars or something like that is the other one. I don't remember the name, but I played School Idol Fest, as I said earlier, and that was really popular back in 2013, 2014, 2015, around there, because me, co-host Chris on the Taiiku Podcast, a bunch of our friends at Otakon would like literally play it in our hotel rooms.
Nice. But yeah, I just think it's a lot of just bad timing, like IDOLMASTER and IDOLMASTER proper getting made in 2011 before streaming became more of a thing. I think if it was made today, it would gain more of a fan base. There is a dedicated fan base for IDOLMASTER in the US, but it's very niche in comparison to other franchises, other anime franchises.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it might be harsh, but I think it's an apt comparison that Love Live is the Lakers and IDOLMASTER is the Clippers, based off their history when it comes to the US.
No, I think that's pretty accurate for what you're trying to go for here. I would dig into the Lakers and be like, oh, they haven't been good for any recent history except for 2020, but I won't be that mean. Or I won't be meaner than I already have been.
Well, just in the overall history, not in recent history. So, why don't you go over our production notes of who actually worked on this series?
Sure. So, IDOLMASTER 2011. The animation studio was A1 Pictures. The series director, character designer, and series composer was Atsushi Nishigori. He also worked on I do this on Manga Years a lot too. I don't know. I'm going to say they from now on. Eva 3.0 plus 1.0 character designer there, as well as chief animation director, digital animation retouch, key animation, and character designer on the Gurren Lagann franchise. As well, Little Witch Academia, Enchanted Break, OAV, they did an assistant animation director and key animation on that one. Series composition for IDOLMASTER was Toko Machida. They also did series composition on Wake Up Girls. I like that anime. Show by Rock, I don't like that one as much, and Lucky Star. Original character designer Toshiyuki Kubota. Chief animation director on Gunbuster. The old Gunbuster?
Yep.
Wow, okay. and is the director of Berserk Golden Age Arc Trilogy. The art director was Kushiro Usui. No other credits to note. Chief animation director Akira Takada, who was also the animation director on Big Wind Up, great anime, and chief animation director in Durara Season 1 and 2, also good anime. And then Haruko Iizuka, I assume, is another chief animation director on IDOLMASTER.
Yep.
Okay. They were also chief animation director and character designer on Ensemble Stars, Horimiya, Joesty, and the Tiger and the Fish movie.
Yeah, so if you have any kind of passing interest in a lot of like Gynax and Trigger shows, a lot of people actually worked on IDOLMASTER, which I think is pretty funny.
Yep.
Also, I'm not going to hold it against them, but a lot of the people that worked on this series also worked on Darling in the Franxx. We're not going to hold that against them. The main premise of the 2011 IDOLMASTER anime is we follow a group of 12 idols: Haruka, Chihaya, Miki, Makoto, Azusa, Takane, Yukiho. Trying to see if I can. This is my little mini game of this podcast to see if I can name them all by memory. Yori, Yayoi, the former idol and now manager or producer Ritsuko, as they try and go from a humble idol production unit and rise up the rankings with each episode as we see their progression, and we see more of their personalities in kind of solo episodes that we get to learn more about them. Now that we got all the notes out of the way, let's get into the show itself. What did you think of the 2011 IDOLMASTER itself as kind of a first-time viewer of the series and not knowing these characters that well?
I really liked it, actually. I mean, there's 12 characters in here. There's a maximum of 9 in Love Live, but there is also 25 episodes, plus an OAV that I watched in IDOLMASTER. So you have a lot more time to go through each of these characters and hit on them one by one. And then it helps that 2 of them are twins, so you can just kind of knock them out in one episode together.
That was the one I forgot. I forgot Ami and Mami. Well, I wasn't going to get a perfect score, but I think I got most of them.
Yeah. I was not counting, but we'll say that you got all of them except for Ami and Mami. But yeah, I thought this was good. I liked the way that they introduced them all. We kind of get archetypes in the first couple episodes, but then we really get a deep dive into some of these characters as the episodes progress, and some of them in particular, Chihaya and Hibiki.
Chihaya.
And, I forget who the other one was.
Chihaya, Miki, Haruka. Those 3 seem to get a lot of majority of the story screen time.
Yeah.
From my rewatch of this. Now, I have to admit, this was really my first idol anime. So I have a lot of nostalgia for this show. So this has been kind of the bar that I've set for other idol shows. And some I have gone on to watch I really like. Like, I'm a big fan of Zombieland Saga. And other ones I wasn't as big of a fan of. Now, I will say, I would be interested to see how this first episode would do in a modern setting, because if you didn't play the video games, which is first episode is very heavily based on, you would be completely lost.
I was pretty lost in even the first couple episodes, and I think that's the case for when I'm watching Love Live as well. Just because there's so many characters to catch up with that it's hard to keep track of them all.
So the way the first episode is formatted, it's formatted like a kind of a documentary style, where it's through first person, where an off-screen person is interviewing each of the idols, and we're introduced in by each idol that has kind of a particular archetype. So Haruka is like the happy-go-lucky leader. Hibiki is the sporty one. Yayoi is the country girl. Azusa is like the sister type. Yori is the tsundere. If you've watched enough idol shows, there's certain archetypes that and tropes that idol shows go back to over and over again. So the show is no different here. It's funny because this first episode is very much formatted like the console games, where everything's done in first person, where you're talking directly to the idols as the producer. And I think that was expected at the time, because this game is heavily inspired by the console game IDOLMASTER 2, where in that game you could not produce the Riku Kamachi unit, which made up of Azusa, one of the twins, I think it's Ami, and Yori, which a lot of fans in Japan were not a fan of. But that's here no there. And so it's a lot of first person, and so someone who doesn't know the context of what this episode is based on would probably be pretty lost. I think it's they kind of did it as a first episode to get out of the way, and it's just kind of referral back to like, yes, we acknowledge the games, but we can't do this as a whole series. So the producer is going to be his own character, which is not how it is in any of the games. And I think I like him as a character. He seems like a very kind of trying to get his feet and trying to get his bearings of things, but he seems to be really into his job and get focused when he needs to be and be there for the idols when they need to be.
Yeah. And I think that's just part of like the adaptation process from a game to a TV series, and that's a credit to them, because if they just straight adapted something like a game to an anime, it doesn't work. But making the producer character is definitely a good choice. It is literally still a self-insert character in a lot of ways, and he doesn't have a name. He's just called producer. And I think crucially, he is a he, whereas every other he character besides the chief of 765 Pro, who is unseen for the most part, or his face is unseen. Unseen at all for the most part, and his face is unseen completely. I think is very intentional, because the characters, and not the characters, the people watching this are going to be, or want to be, the producer in this anime.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like a lot of Idol series, the first couple episodes are us kind of slowly getting to know the idols, their personalities, and they're kind of a rookie office. They're new. They're not really well known, and they don't have the money of a powerful idol production unit or to kind of immediately rocket them to the moon. So it's very kind of ground level, just them slowly trying to gain more popularity, and for us to root for them, because it's kind of funny, because idol shows kind of have a similar structure to a sports anime, if you think about it, where usually the idols are the underdogs, and we want them to succeed, we want them to do well.
Yep.
And we want them to get to the top, which is very similar to a sports team.
Yep. And next, I think the crucial difference here, why we haven't covered it on Taiiku Podcast, is that Love Live, you are literally trying to get into the Love Live competition and win that. In IDOLMASTER, there is a sort of competition, as you say, but it's much less structured in its competition. Yeah,
I would say rewatching the show for the third time. The series is a bit muddled in its goal, and like it's not like we have to get to the ultimate idol festival that every idol knows about. It's more just kind of just gradual climb, and then we have a big concert, and then we did it.
Yep.
And then we move on to the next issue in the second half of the series. But even that is a bit muddled. And I'd have to say, kind of taking my rose-tinted glasses off, that's one criticism I have about this series is, well, it's a great character piece, and I'd argue a lot of the show is kind of has a slice of life feel. It's loosey-goosey goals and structure. Kind of make it hard to follow at points, and makes it harder to invest in at points because you're like, well, we know they're going to continue, but there's no like hard goal. There's no real type of rival unless you want to include the male idol unit Jupiter, which even them, they have a different demographic, and they're not really trying to stop our idols from 765 Pro. It's the unseen president of that kind of manages Jupiter that is more trying to do the dirty work.
Yeah, I think that that is actually something I did like about the series, is that you had this tangible antagonist as opposed to Love Live. I'm going to compare a lot of things in this anime to Love Live because that's comparison.
It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I did like the what is it, 978?
It's 961.
Okay, 9. It's like some random numbers. I don't remember that. Yeah, 961. I did like their inclusion. I liked how they were antagonistic, and I liked how manipulative the chief was, and like how much he didn't let on to the boys to let them know what kind of underhanded things he's doing. And it's like the boys are underneath this spell, and I think that is a sort of subtle commentary on the whole idol industry, where it's like, who knows what these idols are being told and being manipulated into doing. And they're just going along with it because, like, if you are facing in a direction, the old shadow parable from Plato, if you're facing in a direction and you only know that direction, how are you supposed to know that it's wrong?
I do love that the voice of the antagonistic president is President Kory is by the same Japanese voice as Dio from JoJo, and of course he goes ham. And he is also a common occurrence in the console games, where in, I think it's the first console game, he produced the rival group called Project Fairy, which was made up of Hibiki, Takane, and one other member. And then he comes back in later games with different idols that you have to deal with as your rivals. And also, just I love his performance and his character because he's just really just scene chewing and just so over the top, which is what makes him great. So whenever I call him like he's the Dr. Wily, Dr. Eggman of IDOLMASTER because everything is over the top, dramatic, mustache twirling. He's great.
An apt comparison, yeah. Yeah, though I've never played a Kirby game. Wait, Sonic.
One thing I really like about this show And I think it helps that they had prior history with the games that were released up to this point that I feel other Idol shows don't do as well. Is there's different songs every episode.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you're an Idol fan, you want to hear the music. And they put in almost like 2 or 3 different songs each episode, which is super rare in other Idol shows I've watched. Like in because it's recently in my mind, Zombieland Saga, they maybe featured 2 or 3 songs, but that was it for the entire series. Whereas with IDOLMASTER, it's like new song, new song, new song. So if you're really into Idol, just music in general, you're getting a lot out of it.
Yeah, I like that a lot about that. Because yeah, I'm a fan of Idol music. I'm a fan of J-pop, and the kind of mass-produced poppy way, and that it's so ear-catchy.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that IDOLMASTER is necessarily that in every single song, but there is like the volume of them. There has to be some that are like that. But yeah, I like having new songs in these series, and then I think it was like, what was it, a new ending every single episode?
Yeah, that's another thing. Is this show it feels like the production staff was really into the show because they put a lot of work into it with different end credits and different stills of the characters in different situations.
Mm-hmm.
The other things that makes this show different compared to now is it was before CGI became much more prevalent in Idol shows. Like, they're either using stills or they're actually still using 2D animation for the dance sequences, which we never see anymore, just because of cost and time.
Yeah, even 3 or however many years ago in Love Live, it was just all CG.
Yeah, so for comparison, for Love Live, I don't know which series to really compare it to, but what's it like for Love Live when it comes to the amount of music you get and sort of dancing choreography? Like, were they using all CG up to the very beginning, and what was the kind of music like in the Love Live series?
The dancing or the CG is notoriously bad in Love Live, especially in that first series, 2013, so 2 years after this. But by the time we've gotten to Superstar now in 2020, the CG is much better. It's actually watchable, whereas it was not very watchable in the first series. But yeah, they've never gone away from that CG in the dance sequences, and probably just because they animate the whole dance sequence, basically. So it's just a lot of animation to do. But in terms of the songs, I would say there's not that many songs compared to IDOLMASTER, especially. But it's 12 episodes per series. I would say maybe we're getting 6, 8, 10 songs in each season.
Okay, that's not bad. That's like an album's worth of music right there.
Yeah, and like the first Love Live movie, at least, I'm much more familiar with the first Love Live series than I am with all of the other ones. But the first Love Live series, at least, the movie had like a full album's worth of stuff. It got a couple singles that I bought that are really good too. Like, they really stepped it up for the movies, but even then, I think it was still CG dancing. It was a lot better than the series, though.
I will have to admit, so the only Love Live series that I've watched is the first series. And to be honest with you, I was not a big fan of it. And I think the problem was the amount of... I was kind of spoiled by this series by just the sheer amount of music that's in IDOLMASTER and the 2D choreography that we see. When I went to Love Live, I'm just like, well, why don't we get more music? Why is the dancing so bad? And so I was spoiled by the series because I was like, got really into the music. And even the cool thing too with the show is when each idol gets kind of their own individual episode, we'll get a solo song that was for and sung by that idol of that episode, which is really cool.
Yeah, you'll get
their
those.
Personality.
You'll get the solo songs in Love Live as well, but it's more like in the game. Like that's where I've experienced most of those solo songs. And I know they're in the anime. I don't know how frequent they are in the anime. Certainly, every character does not get their own song within the anime. And like even in the movie, it was first years get a song, second years get a song, third years get a song. So you only have a movie length there, but what I noticed between Love Live and IDOLMASTER is like in Love Live, it really felt like you're rooting for Muse and you're rooting for Aqua and you're rooting for Nijigasaki is a little different because they don't have a group on themselves. They're all going for solo idols. But then you're also rooting for the Leela, the superstar group. And really, you're rooting for those groups. And each of the characters do get their own episodes as the series goes along. But IDOLMASTER is just so much more focused on these characters and what they bring to the table in terms of being an idol. And then for the... I forget what their group name is called, but for...
They're just part of 765, and then there's the break-off unit, Riku Kamachi.
That's what I was trying to think of.
In comparison, it feels like the IDOLMASTER anime is more dealing with like individual issues and dealing with like individual insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
And there's less of a group focus compared to Love Live, based on what you're telling me.
Yeah, exactly. So like if to use the basketball comparison again, you are rooting for the Clippers or you are rooting for Kawhi Leonard or you're rooting for Paul George, and IDOLMASTER is much more the latter and Love Live is much more the former.
私のものにならなくていいそばにいるだけでいいあの子にもしも飽きたらすぐに呼び出して壊れるくらいに抱きしめて
Knowing the ways of how idol shows go, was there a particular character that you connected to or that you liked watching the series?
The best girl, as they say.
Yes.
I mean, I think I really, this may be recency bias, but I think I really clung on to Chihaya, just from that storyline very near the end of the series. At some point, I was just like marathoning a lot of episodes, so a lot of the episodes themselves blur together, and thus some of the character storylines blur together. But like that one really stuck in my mind. I guess I'm sure it did a lot of other people. Is just the intensity and the emotion behind it was like you're not going to get that in Love Live, and that's what I really liked about IDOLMASTER.
Well, guess what? You've picked the most popular character.
I'm 0% surprised. Yeah.
In Japan, Chihaya is usually among the original idols. She's the most popular. I myself am a fan of Azusa because I love her singing voice. I feel like I connect with her and that I have no sense of direction whatsoever, just like Azusa. So I get lost as well.
Yeah. I've been called the Zorro of our group several times.
I really like her individual episode because it's just real. It gets pretty fun, like with Makoto, who's kind of the prince of the group, getting into like full on like kung fu martial arts fights, and her being lost and this giant group of people trying to chase her like a circus and whatnot. It's pretty fun. So I think I know you said that kind of the individual episodes kind of blur together, and I can get that marathoning, but going back to those, I like how those episodes are really good at giving a spotlight to said idol. Like one of the first kind of solo episodes where an idol gets a lot of the screen time was Yukiho, where they go to this smaller village festival to perform, and Yukiho is really scared of dogs and her just trying to get over her fear. I thought that was a great kind of like one-off story of just like trying to overcome your fear and your emotions and having your friends around you to support you and help you get past it. I thought that's a great sort of little character story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and IDOLMASTER has a bunch of those like great little character stories.
Yeah, those really stuck with me. Those stuck with me a lot. Like Yayoi, who's kind of is becoming an idol because she wants to support her family because she comes from more of a working class, not as wealthy side of things. And she is having to take care of her extended family of brothers and sisters, and is always very aware of cost of things. Like a great example I can give you is in the game, in the most recent game, they had a thing where you could give Yayoi a gift, and one of it was ice cream, chocolate, or a jar of marinara sauce. What do you think was the correct choice based off the choices I'm giving you?
Well, the obvious assumption would be chocolate, but I'm guessing it's the marinara.
It was the marinara because that gets the most value for her family.
Oh, so. Yeah. I love that aspect of her, too, where it's like she was visiting Iori, right? And she just got a little homesick. She's like, I can't sleep by myself because I'm constantly surrounded by family. That is my normal.
Yeah, I think if you're really into character, this show does a really good job, especially with the individual episodes. Like another good one was the Hibiki episode, where Hibiki's whole thing is she really cares about her animals, and she has almost a circus full of them, like a dog, a hamster, a crocodile, a bird,
mm-hmm.
a bunch of animals, and she becomes an idol in order to get money to take care of them. And in the episode, she's hosting this kind of animal show you'd see on like Animal Planet, and she gets tricked into this ravine by the dastardly President Kory's minion, and she had just had a fight with her animals, but then she comes to realize, like, oh, the animals weren't mad that I wasn't feeding them well. They were mad that I wasn't giving them attention. And then the animals come and rescue her, and kind of get her out of out of her kind of pit that she's stuck in. And again, it's just really good character moments. And I think that's one really strong strength of the series overall.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
The other thing too is, this isn't gonna be a big factor for people here in the States, but as someone that has watched someone play through a lot of the console games, it's a big tribute to the franchise in general, where they used music from the video games, and they put in references which are pretty cool, like that talk show they host, where Haruka tries to open up the box and it goes against her nose. That actually happened on an IDOLMASTER live stream like a year before the anime came out, and they put that in the anime as like a reference, which was pretty cool.
That's good. Like those little Easter eggs.
Yeah, they put in a lot of Easter eggs, like using music from the games and stuff like Haruka in the box. So I think that's really cool. But in terms of like more of a love life structure, the closest we have to that is dealing with kind of the jealousy at first of Riku Komachi and their more overall popularity. While they're part of the same production unit, they get more of a head start compared to the other idols, and people get really jealous of them. And then later we get Jupiter with 961. Although both these stories seem to peter out, where just people the other idols that aren't part of Riku Komachi, especially Miki, who mistakenly thinks that she could join Riku Komachi, gets upset over it, but then eventually kind of gets over it and figures out like, oh no, I can shine just as brightly without Riku Komachi and continue on. And then with Jupiter, it's very much like they eventually get sick of Kuroi's underhandedness and they leave him. Although they never give us in the anime any sort of scene where they say like we're done with you. They just say we just meet them later putting on kind of an independent idol show, and that was it. So I wish kind of the rivals were kind of a much more stronger component, because if you watched other idol shows, usually a rival idol or unit is a very strong story beat in normal idol shows.
Yeah, you do have that a little bit in Love Live with each of the groups. I'm really bad at remembering their names, but thank God, as I scroll through Wikipedia, they're right here. Arise in the first series was the rival against them, and then Saint Snow and Aqua, Sunny Passion in Nishikasaki, I believe. But yeah, each of them have their own rivals, but it's never like this big thing. They're always like something to be attained or reach a point where they're as big as them, rather than someone that they're directly competing against.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the big story thing that I really connected to was not the Chihaya storyline, but the Haruka story that happens at the very end, where at that point in the story, all the idols of 765 Pro are very popular, and they're doing multiple jobs. And something that's looming is this kind of New Year's Eve concert. And as time goes on, Haruka feels more separated and alone and isolated from the other idols because they're so busy with their other work. And just her frustration of that, of just fear of being alone. I think I connected more with that than I did with the Chihaya story, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's like what I've said. It's what I really like about Idolmaster is that they have these personable stories, and like what really draws me to television as a whole medium is that you have a lot of episodes to really visit these characters and learn more about them and connect to them in a myriad of ways. And Idolmaster does that really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could, I think, if you don't have strong characters that you can connect with, then you could tell the most convoluted plot in the world, but nobody would care. You have to care about the characters, or there's no anchor. And I think while the plot overall is pretty weak in this series, it has very strong character.
The plot is weak, but like it's very easy to follow because it's just they're living about their lives as an idol, and like that's pretty much the plot. And then every other story is kind of character driven, or the plot of the whole anime is that, and then the individual episode stories are character driven.
Does other idol shows have more of kind of a slice of life feel? Because the show kind of, at points, does have a slice of life type of feel to it, where it's more just we're seeing the idols go about their day, and sure, there's probably some interpersonal issue they're dealing with, but it's not like, I need to get S rank at this festival, or else, oh no.
Right.
That you could think of.
Yeah. Are you a big idol fan? Have you watched a lot of other idol anime?
So My problem is I've never been able to really connect with other shows. Like, and mostly it's because of design aesthetic. Like, I know Love Live is very popular, but I really don't like the Love Live character design aesthetic with the big with basically the one color choice per idol. And while there is that way in Idolmaster, and particularly in their clothes, it feels to me that Idolmaster doesn't. Each character is its own individual, and they don't look so similar. And I think that's one issue I have with Love Live is a lot of the characters kind of have a similar character design and don't really stand out to me.
Right.
Whereas with Idolmaster, each of the characters has their own different character design.
Yeah, I think that's a struggle with a lot of the kind of mass-produced type of anime. Like anime generally, not just idol anime, but we, Inc. and I on Taiiku Podcast have had a lot of discussions about that, where the mediocre and bad sports animes kind of have these cookie cutter characters. They all look the same. We can never tell them apart. I remember nothing about them after we talk about them. And that's the case for a lot of the idol anime that at least I've seen. Wake Up Girls was kind of that way. It was a little more unique, but I could not tell you what any of the characters or even what that story was about. I don't remember the name of it now, but it was an actually pretty good one that was idol-ish. Sakura Quest, I think. It's kind of idol adjacent, but that one too has the same kind of issues where it is more plot driven. The characters aren't given as much time, but Love Live I think does take its time with its characters. It does give you some time with it. The character designs I think are unique enough. I don't know if they're necessarily more unique or less unique than Idolmasters, but maybe that's just because I watched it first.
Yeah, the last idol show that I really liked a lot was Zombieland Saga.
That's a good one
because I thought it had a unique premise. Each character had a distinctive look, and they also did character-driven episodes at points, which I really liked.
Yeah, that one helps. And character is like from a different era too.
Yes, and gives their own unique flavor, which I feel. While Idolmaster does fall into tropes at points, each character has their own unique flavor that you could basically find one that you like, and you've basically found your idol that you probably like. Was there any kind of standout episode that you really liked? Any kind of character episode that you enjoyed, or any type of moment?
The aforementioned GI episode is something that I really liked John too. I did like the moments with Azusa where she didn't know where she was going because I relate to that greatly. And then also the Kakane ramen series. I love ramen, but like a lot of them have mushroom bases, and like mushrooms upset my stomach, unfortunately. So I have to like plan out where I'm going to go after I eat ramen. But yeah, I love food type anime, and now since there was that one episode where Takane went ramen hunting, this is now a food anime. Idolmaster is a food anime.
I do. One highlight for me is I don't know if you remember them, but the movie trailers they did.
Yes, I love those.
We're so fun. That's and just like you shouldn't be animating this to such extent, because their first movie trailer they do is like a mecha series where some of the characters are actual pilots of the anime, and other characters are made to look up like different idols from 765 Pro, which is pretty fun. And I thought its production values are pretty cool. And the second one they do is like a Yakuza kind of gangster movie.
Yep. I think it paid a little homage to Kill Bill too.
Oh yeah, especially with Takane in the snow. That's straight up from Kill Bill Volume 1.
Yep.
And just also I love the Are We Live episode, because it's a good highlight of a lot of the idols in one single episode, where each of them gets kind of their moment, like Hibiki doing a sporting thing. The really good movie trailer that happens there, Miki being matter-of-factly. I know how it was in the subs for you, for Miki, but she talks in the third person a lot. um, and I love how, at least for the subs I was watching, they said, nope, we don't like the third person talk. We're just gonna stick with like using I and first person in the subtitles.
Oh man, I don't like when they do that for proper nouns in subtitles. I prefer them keeping the proper noun of whatever they said, or pronoun. In that case, I believe I was. Well, I don't want to call them out because they're subtitlers and they pirated things, but the ones that I was listening to or watching, I believe they said Miki. But I know enough Japanese, which is like basically zero, but I know enough of it to know the sentence structure and when they're saying things, and like when she says Miki, I'm like, oh, she's referring to herself. That's not like a Japanese word.
Yeah, she in the series talks in the third person a lot, which was never really my favorite because then you're just gonna be like, okay, unless you're like Elmo, I'm not giving you a pass.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be this cutesy like anime girl thing where there's younger people in Japan literally do that because they are like learning sentence structure because they're young, but then they do it in these anime with the teenagers, and like I'm not bothered by it at this point, but it's not like a trope that I'm a huge fan of either.
I didn't make you watch this, but they did put out an IDOLMASTER movie. The reason why I didn't want us to do that for the podcast is because they introduce even more idols that would be later integrated into the unit Million Live, and they don't really get a lot of screen time. But the highlight for that movie in terms of the movie trailers is they do a straight up Madoka Magica parody, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, in terms of just again, it feels like the staff that worked on the show were really into it and animated their heart out, whether it be like the movie trailers they did, which were really fun, or the murder mystery, or the murder mystery of who ate the pudding, or just the idol stuff like the dance sequences, which I thought looked great, and the use of I love a good use of a good still image to show an impact, like in kind of the season finale of the first set of episodes. Riku Kamachi's running late. The other idols have to stall for time at this big concert. Miki takes center stage, and during her big kind of like hitting the high note moment, they do a still of her kind of spread out doing kind of a singing pose, which I thought looked really cool.
Yeah, something I think IDOLMASTER does pretty well is that they know, I mean, perhaps because it is a music anime or musical anime, they know when not to use music, when not to use sound, and when to just let a moment linger for a little bit, like with that Miki moment.
Yeah, or when things get serious, like in the previews, it can be very jokey, but when a serious moment happens, like the storyline with Chihaya or the storyline with Haruka in the later half, it's played for seriousness. It's not played for laughs, where we just show the IDOLMASTER logo all in black.
Yep.
So yeah, I think this show is really good at knowing its tone and just kind of knowing what's going on. But did this series make you want to explore more of the IDOLMASTER franchise?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I was already inclined to watch IDOLMASTER at all. I just needed a reason to do so. This is as good a reason as any. Very enjoyable talking with you the 2 times like I have now, I suppose. But yeah, I would watch more IDOLMASTER after this, and knowing that some of it is on Crunchyroll still is definitely a much higher incentive, because I'm just like, I'm so lazy. I don't want to pirate anything anymore. I just want to watch things on streaming, and like I know Crunchyroll is being really problematic right now, but we have the subscription for a year, so.
Well, when they're the only like big game in town, there's only so much that we as the individual consumer can do.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately. I mean, yeah, I wish IDOLMASTER was more of a bigger thing here in the States, because I think the series is pretty good. I'm curious, for as we're kind of wrapping up. You mentioned that kind of the differences between the original Love Live anime and this, but what makes you feel that Love Live is slightly, the original Love Live anime is slightly better than the IDOLMASTER anime? Is it having more of a central goal and plot?
Yeah, I think so. That's got to be one of the bigger things. Another thing is that it just was not aired week to week. Love Live was every season, I believe, aired week to week, either on Funimation or on Crunchyroll. So that just really hinders things. Like Beastars is a great anime, but it doesn't really get as much traction because Netflix drops it all at once. What was the other thing I was thinking of? Monogatari,
Like
I think was... Yeah, JoJo's is another great example, but Monogatari is what I was thinking of, and like that, I think is just good enough and weird enough that it broke through a little bit, and that Kizu Monogatari, I believe, hit theaters, just sprung it up all that much more. But yeah, with like IDOLMASTER, I think if IDOLMASTER had hit streaming week to week in 2011, it could have been as big as Love Live.
Or if it waited like 2 more years.
Yeah,
I think
that too.
If it was like 2013, I think it would have gained more traction. But in 2011, Crunchyroll was still relatively new, and streaming wasn't as widely adopted at that point. So I just think it's not the show's fault. It's just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, unfortunately. And like, this is a great anime. I like this, and I think people would really like this if they gave it a chance. But you know, some things are just harder. And like, I don't want to get into a rant about television and serialized television, but this is why I like the medium of television. IDOLMASTER and its plotting and its character work is why I like the medium of television.
楽しい時も辛い時も一緒にいたいと思う仲間プレゼントと愛をぎゅっと詰め込んでこゆ笑い合って楽しいクリスマスにしよう帰りたくない時も止めてずっとハッピークリスマス
Yeah, and like I said, to our listeners, if you're checking this out, I'm sorry this show is not streaming on Crunchyroll anymore. That bums me out. You'll have to find it your own way. But if you decide to check it out, I think it's well worth your time if you're really into character plots, if you like interpersonal issues. If you hate CG, you probably would really like IDOLMASTER, because it's definitely a show of a different era. I recommend it for that. I guess for me, is there any idol shows that you would recommend for me? Because the ones I've tried at this point have been Original Love Live, Zombieland Saga, WUG, which I forgot about. I tried Ikatsu, but that didn't really click. Is there any idol shows I'm forgetting or should try out?
I have not watched Ikatsu, so I don't know. I don't know if that one is good personally, but if Original Love Live did not capture you, then I think your best bet is going to be Love Live Superstar. That one is I would say the second best Love Live, which may be a different hot take. But I've really been enjoying that one. I've only watched the first season, and I know the second season is airing right now, or about to end at this point. But I haven't started that yet. But there's only 5 idols in that one to begin with, and then they add more in the second season. So it's much more digestible as well. But besides that, I really liked AKB0048, and like, the songs are going to be good because they actually have to sell that on a mass scale with AKB48. And it's also a mecha anime. So.
And then the other big idol franchise, I guess if someone tells me I'm wrong online, sorry, but it's Symphogear is another big blind spot for me.
That's right, same for me.
In terms of idol shows, because people who are really into Symphogear are very much into Symphogear, trying to preach it to people, just like, go watch it. but I've never had the time where I've been distracted by other things. So maybe that and Love Live Superstars will be in my future. We'll see.
Yeah. And the positive thing about Love Live is, only 12 episodes per season, so it's pretty digestible.
And also Love Live actually gets dubbing. Which,
true, yeah. You're a fan of dubs?
They don't dub the music, do they?
I would assume not, but I don't know. I actually do like dubs, but I haven't watched them in forever.
Well, I guess we will end on we both liked IDOLMASTER, and I would say we both recommend it.
Thumbs up. Yep.
Yep. Pretty thumbs up. You can find it through your own means, dear listener, and I hope people have more interest in checking out the IDOLMASTER franchise. There's a hardcore, dedicated fan base. A sign of a good fan base is if they have their own wiki that is not run by fandom. That's its own self-funded wiki, which I really admire. And there's also dedicated groups that translate events for the mobile games, like Duracete and Million Live. And you can also find a lot of people have posted the music online, give or take the back and forth battles between the poster and Columbia, the record label. But I'm just like, if you're not selling it here, why are you taking it down? Don't you want people to be interested in the thing you made? But what do I know? And on that note, we will wrap up our show with a podcast tradition that is plugs. So Kory, let's get started with you have anything to plug?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at PassionateK, and you can find my podcast over on Twitter at Taiiku Podcast. It's Taiiku. You can find all of our episodes and all of Manga in Your Ears episodes over at TaiikuPodcast.com. And that's pretty much all I do.
And you can hear my voice on more episodes on the Third Impact Anime podcast. I recently started a separate series on here called A Grand Line Reborn with my usual co-host Tobias, where I'm going through Final Fantasy XIV and he is going through One Piece for the first time. It's pretty fun.
Love One Piece.
So you can check. Yeah, I finally got someone else into One Piece, so I'm very happy. You can also find me on Twitter at WBForeman, FOREMAN with 3 9s, 999, where I'm usually retweeting stuff, a lot of Lupin the Third, Detective Conan, and all that much. And you can follow the Third Impact on Twitter at TI_anime, where you can keep up to date with our latest releases, and if we will be at a convention near you, probably next year. And also you can check me on the Taiiku Podcast episode where I talked about Hajime no Ippo, which was really fun. I wish the second series was streaming somewhere.
Yeah, same. Really annoying that first and third series are, but not the second.
It's really frustrating because I loved the first series and I was like, I want to keep going. Sorry, second series is not streaming anywhere.
Yep.
Thanks. Well, I'm hoping those discotheque releases for Ippo have done well, that maybe they can get the second series out of licensing.
Mm-hmm.
The licensing shadows and put that out. So, but we'll see. But anyway, thanks for checking out this episode. And Kory, thanks again for being on.
Yes, thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun. If you ever need me for any idol or sports purposes, I am available when my calendar says I am.
Awesome. Maybe I can get you for a Bamboo Blade episode in the future.
There we go.
It's one of my favorite sports animes.
I love that one, yeah.
And with that, we will see you in the next one.
シュ